Technology seems to move at warp speed these days, each week exciting us with new discoveries and advancements. It seems only natural the trend will continue, and there's likely to be some truly exciting stuff in just the next few years. I ponder the future often, and based on my own research and experience, here are 3 technologies I believe could exist within the next 2 decades. Number 3. Real-life mini-maps. Approximately 3.26 billion people worldwide play video games, with US gamers alone spending $55.5 billion in 2022. There is an increasing number of ways to enjoy video games, perhaps the most exciting of which is virtual reality. VR has skyrocketed in popularity in recent years, and the race really seems to be heating up as tech giants such as Meta and Apple have been investing heavily into developing the technology. However, as of making this video in November of 2023, VR technology is not where many users want it to be. The hardware is expensive, the games are lacking, and the experience is simply not that amazing. Instead, a different, more practical technology is filling that void: augmented reality. AR allows users to interact with their environment with digital overlays. Apple recently announced the Apple Vision Pro, and while not out yet, it's possible its successors will replace the iPhone. If augmented reality catches on, it will be more efficient than the iPhone, and therefore just as invasive in society. People will likely wear them everywhere they go, in the same way that people nowadays can't leave their house without their phone. Reasonably so, I might add. Living in our society without a phone puts you at a major disadvantage. The hardware isn't likely to remain bulky forever. Just look at the first phones. And as with phones, the more people using them, the more useful applications of the tech. One such application I'm hopeful we will see, and indeed I believe we will because of its sheer usefulness in the digital world, is real-life mini-maps. We already use virtual maps on our phones. Imagine instead, just a corner of your vision is taken up by a square mile of the map area around you, able to give you directions and be expanded to a larger map, also like in video games. Users could set waypoints to which the map would highlight a route, or it could be used like traditional GPS. I could also imagine people using the mini-map much like the app Find My Friends, with anyone who allows for it showing up on their friends' maps. This could be taken a step further into real-life gaming. An example would be Pokemon Go, but in true augmented reality. Could you imagine walking around your city with Pokemon flying around, Pokestops on the corner, and an interactive community that only the players can see? That sounds like the world I want to live in. Number 2. Self-driving cars. This is not as much of a prediction, but more of a wait a few years because the technology is already here. Yes, there are still major problems with self-driving cars, and the dangers should not be downplayed. Self-driving cars have gotten into crashes and gotten people killed. However, this is the case of human drivers as well. Car crashes are a major cause of death, and a real fear for pretty much everyone. Self-driving cars could, in the long run, make car accidents extinct. I was recently picked up by an Uber driver who was really excited to show me the self-driving features of the car. He waited till we were going nearly 80 on a dark highway, about to take a decent curve, to take his hands off the wheel and trust the car. To my absolute glee, the car did not barrel off the side of the highway and kill me and my friends. It gently turned, adjusting its speed to the curve, then sped back up. We were quickly coming up behind a car, and while unable to change lanes and go around, the car still adjusted for speed and kept us a safe distance away. In all honesty, this experience left my friends and I thanking the universe we survived, but it also forced me to experience the reality of self-driving cars. While not at the point where I could sit in the back seat and let my car take me for a ride, it's easy to see the path to that being a reality. The usefulness of self-driving cars goes beyond reducing car accidents and increasing human convenience. It opens the door to better, more efficient transportation in cities. I could see a world where the AI piloting your car is fed traffic data and is able to adjust accordingly to find an optimal route. There is also a drastic need to reduce the amount of cars, yet their usefulness, especially in rural areas, requires their existence. Self-driving cars allow for autonomous taxis that can be called when needed, eliminating the need for many personally owned cars in areas that lack public transportation. Shorter distances could be traveled via e-bike or scooter, as much cheaper and more environmental forms of transportation. Overall, I could see fully autonomous cars by the end of the decade, but I think it will take a while for people to fully adapt and be comfortable with that reality. Number 1. The interplanetary internet. The new space race has largely been focused on constellation satellites, more specifically, Starlink. If you're unfamiliar with Starlink, it is a project being undertaken by Elon Musk's SpaceX to provide internet access anywhere in the world via a dense satellite network. Currently, there are 5,000 Starlink satellites in orbit with a promised 7,000 more to come, and a goal of scaling it up to 42,000, and that's just around the Earth. Elon has stated he plans to establish a Starlink network around the Moon and Mars in the coming decades to establish an efficient communication network between planets, as well as create an interplanetary internet. Imagine watching your favorite streamer scale the largest volcano in the solar system, Olympus Mons, on Mars. This may sound a little far-fetched and sci-fi until you consider that Starlink began deployment in 2019 and already has 5,000 satellites in orbit. This space race is the real deal. Launch costs have decreased dramatically, again, thanks to SpaceX, and real orbital development is a realistic possibility. Amazon has also entered the race to build a competitor satellite network known as Project Kuiper. As of now, Project Kuiper has a long way to go if they want to compete with Starlink, but the company promises to have half their constellation deployed by July 2026 and begin serving customers as early as 2024. No matter whose satellites are providing the service, billions more people will now have access to the internet. An estimated 2.9 billion people, or 33% of the global population, has never used the internet. Think about how busy the internet seems now, then add that last third of the population. Thanks for tuning in to Weird Universe, and hello to anyone in the future listening to this video on the interplanetary internet. I made this video on Earth in the year 2023, when only a handful of remarkable people had been to space. If you enjoy pondering the fascinating and imagining the future, you might like my channel, so be sure to check out my other videos. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, that really helps out my channel. And always remember that you are an alien to an alien.